This is the first video lecture on the chapter of late adulthood. The last topic ended about middle age, so that was from 40 to 65. And so this chapter picks up from 70, about 65 to 70, and goes right up to the end of life, though this chapter does not discuss death. That's going to be the very last topic. So let me get my screen share up for you. This is not a chapter that I have spent an enormous amount of time lecturing on before. So what do we mean by late age? We're talking about, so when we talk about late adulthood, we're really talking about the period between, again, between 70, 65 and beyond. The folks that study this stuff professionally, we would call them gerontologists. If you are to pursue the branch of medicine specifically to older people or elderly adults, that's geriatrics. And negative attitudes towards older people is what's called ageism. So this little box over here just shows you just an illustration of some of the data about how many people over the age of 50 have experienced ageism. Yes, so I'm only 49, and I can tell you that even I've experienced some judgment towards age in certain occupations. This is considered the largest the largest growing portion of the population. And partly because we have that baby boom group, which would be, so there, my mother is a baby boomer, she's age 73. And the baby boomers were born after the Second World War, after the soldiers all came back. And as they have moved through the population, they put demands on all the services. So when they came through elementary school, they had to build a bunch more elementary schools, came through high schools, and now as they're reaching retirement age, they're putting demand on the healthcare system in particular. And this is what is called the graying of the population. And it's simply a term given for the aging of this largest percentage of the population. It's interesting, you can even read stories about articles about concerns about where we're going to bury all of these people. Because they've put pressures on all of these systems. Okay, so your chapter breaks down this segment of the population in what they call the young old, the old, and the oldest old. I just saw a really interesting story on 60 Minutes last night that is not available for me to upload, send it to you guys, on the oldest old, on people over the age of 95. So 65 is 74, your young old, 74 is your old, and then you've got your oldest old. And then other terms associated with this stage in life are what they refer to as functional age, and that is how relatively your well-being, your mobility, your ability to get stuff done compared to other people of a similar age. And then we have something called primary aging, which refers to the inevitable process of your body deteriorating, but secondary aging are are aspects of aging that are associated with disease or disuse. So when we talk about delaying aging or how you can successfully age, what they're really talking about are ways that you can delay or slow down the secondary aging, the way you can prevent disease or continue to use your faculties, like your physical activity and your cognitive faculties. So there's a really brief introduction here into some demographic terms. So life expectancy, if you were to be a social demographer, this is all social demographers really study, are things like life expectancy. So that refers to, and every generation has their own life expectancy, but that's how long you can expect to live at birth. And so, like, for the most part, every generation has seen a longer life expectancy than the one before it, but there recently has just been a little dip in the life expectancy, and that's associated with obesity. And so it's based on the number of people that die each year and what are the odds that you're going to live that long. There's another couple slides later, I put up a survival curve, and it is an illustration of how at certain points in your life, your risk of dying actually goes down, right? Yes, your risk of dying actually goes down. And so, like, my generation, and then life expectancy varies by men and women. Women generally live longer than men, and one of the variables is, for instance, men are more likely to be in war, right? So that Second World War generation, they saw a decline in life expectancy because more men were dying, and so it's based on this sort of average calculation. And then there are also ethnic and racial disparities. Black men have the shortest life expectancy. So part of that has to do with mass incarceration, gun violence, those kinds of things. And Hispanic women, I did not know this was new to me, according to your textbook, Hispanic women actually have the longest life expectancy. And yeah, so women live longer than men. And then I'm wondering too, I'm curious about what the data will show us after the pandemic. I suspect what we'll see is we'll actually see a shorter life expectancy, but it'll adjust it. Longevity refers to how long so if I were to ask you in a discussion post, what's the longevity in your family like? What I'm asking you is like, how long do people live in your life, right? In your family, in your ancestry. My mom's people make it over 100, but my dad's people not so much. And then lifespan refers to the longest possible time that a member of a species can live. So there is some intriguing research, some speculation about what exactly the lifespan of a human is. When I was in school, it was thinking it was like 108. I believe your textbook suggests that it might be as long as 118, maybe 120 some years. So then that begs the question, if that's how long we can in fact live, why are we not living that long? This word here, I think we've seen that in another chapter, is a fancy term for the declining of bodily processes. There are a couple theories as to why we age. And it's important, I think, that you understand the fundamental distinction between these two theories. You have the genetic programming theory, which basically says that we age because we're programmed to age, right? That it's based on, and I will show you, if I haven't already, I don't think I've put it up in this class, but I have this great video on telomeres. And telomeres are thought to be they're like the plastic cap. I hope I haven't shown you the video in this class. I hope I haven't confused, but they're sort of like they're the cap of your DNA. So the same way that shoelaces have that little plastic piece that keeps them from fraying, your DNA has that plastic piece that, it's not plastic, has that cap that keeps it from fraying, from falling apart. And so when our cells divide, it uses up some of this telomeres. Well, aging is simply a function of cell division, right? It's simply a function of your cells not repairing themselves. And there is some evidence that says that your cells can only repair themselves, can only multiply, can only divide 50 times. So if your cells are repairing themselves or are dividing in an effort to repair themselves, they're wearing down or they're using up that telomere. And once the telomere is gone, then then that DNA molecule just sort of, can kind of dies. And the thought is that's what aging is aging is cellular death, right? And it may be, and cortisol, which is related to stress, causes the dissolving, causes these telomeres to dissolve or to, dissolve, causes them to dissolve faster. So then that suggests that there's a relationship between stress, which increases cortisol, and cortisol, which causes the telomeres to dissolve. When the telomeres dissolve, then the cell doesn't repair, and that's what aging is, right? That's one theory. Another theory, an evolutionary theory, so these are all just different ways of thinking about aging as a phenomena of our genetic programming, right? That basically we were built to age. This is the way we're designed. The evolutionary model says that once we have passed, I think about this a lot because I am past my reproductive years, right? But once we have passed, we've done our reproductive duty, once we've made babies, then there need to be no more resources dedicated to cellular repair. And that's when our body starts to age. So this theory would suggest that that there's a lot of resources, there's a lot of evolutionary resources goes into goes into growth and reproduction. But once we've reproduced ourselves, we don't need that evolutionarily, you don't need to use any more energy into reproducing yourself. So it's sort of, the body begins to break down because you've done what you were designed to do, and you've replaced yourself. You have forwarded your genetic material into the next generation, so you can die now, is in essence. So this theory basically says there ain't a whole lot you can do about aging. It's just part of how you're meant to be, how we were built as human machines. The variable rate theory says is that aging is really, so it focuses more specifically on the wear and tear of your body, and that people, because it observes or acknowledges or takes into account how some people age more rapidly than other people, right? So it suggests that our bodies, that different bodies experience different sort of wear and tear. Like, it's as if we use our bodies more, not use them more, but we wear them out. So the question is that what predicts, or what is the mechanism for wearing our body out? One, which I thought was interesting because I've heard about free radicals for the last couple decades, is the idea that that there are certain environmental, I'm trying to remember all the specifics, but that there are certain things in the environment that causes, I believe free radicals refer to like electrons, like they're just floating around, and that these free radicals that should be attached to cells, should be attached to molecules, are, instead of being attached, they're like causing damage, and they're like being destructive. So these electrons, I think it's electrons, it's described in your textbook, are the ones that are causing your cells to damage. They're free, they're not supposed to be. And then things like antioxidants are supposed to reduce free radicals or get rid of them. But the point is that as our cells repair, something goes wrong in that duplication, in that repair process, and these free radicals should not exist. But that's what's causing. I kind of think of it as like a loose ball, in a ball. Anyway, that is bouncing around in there. It's not supposed to be bouncing around. Another theory, and I thought this one was interesting too, is something that's called a rate of living theory. So this theory says that there's a relationship between your metabolism and your lifespan, or your metabolism and your energy level and your lifespan. So one intriguing theory about how to prevent aging or slow down the process of aging is based on the principle of caloric restriction. And it's an attempt to address aging from using this theory, this rate of living theory. But the theory goes is that to burn energy, when we metabolize, when we use a lot of energy, that takes, that's expensive. It's expensive for our body, and it's like driving your car hard, right? Or keeping your not the transmission, but your acceleration. So burning energy, having a high metabolism is like an accelerated car, and it will cause the motor to wear out faster. If, on the other hand, it's sort of, I guess I can think of it like when you drive your vehicle, you get better gas mileage when you drive the speed limit than when you drive over the speed limit. And the speed limit, or the gas mileage, is like cellular repair. And remember, it assumes that your body can only reproduce itself so many times. You can only divide those cells, you can only heal those cells so many times. So a faster metabolism, a faster use of energy wears out or causes a shorter lifespan. And one way we deal with this theory is caloric restriction, which slows down your metabolism. And then the third theory, not really along the same lines, suggests that what aging is really, it's an autoimmune response, that at some point our body begins to destroy itself, right? It's an autoimmune response, for lack of a better word, right? So that's a short and sweet of that one. And it basically destroys our own cells. So this theory, the sum of these theories is that we can slow down aging by lifestyle, right? Or by steering clear of certain things that would cause damage to our cellular structure. We can take steps. I'm going to stop right here, and when I come back, I'm going to talk about some other demographic stuff about how long people can live.